Okay, so welcome back everyone. Today we'll be discussing about the Module 8, which is about deciles of a group data. Okay, so first of all, what is a decile? So a decile are 9 values that divide the group data into 10 equal parts. So these 9 values are called D1, D2, D3, D4, D5, D6, D7, D8, and D9. And it will be denoted as DK. So first of all, the formula for decile. So decile is denoted as DK, and its formula is DK is equals to lower boundary plus K times N over 10 minus cumulative frequency over frequency of the date DK times the interval. So LB is equals to the lower boundary of the DK class, N is the total frequency, CFB is the cumulative frequency before the DK class, and FDK is the frequency of the DK class, I is the size interval of the class, and K is the nth decile, which values will either be from 1 to 9 depending on the problem. Okay, so example 1. AC collects plastic bottles every month from the 50 houses in her barangay. The data for the collection last month is summarized in the table below. Find the D7 and interpret the result. Okay, so this is the data given, data acquired by AC from every month from the 50 houses that she got in her barangay. Okay, so first of all, before proceeding to computing the decile, we need to first find the lower boundary and the less than cumulative frequency. So just like in the previous lesson, getting the lower boundary is just subtracting 0.5 from the lower limit of the data given. Like here, in the data given here, the first data is 3 to 5, which is the lower limit is 3, then the upper limit is 5. So we just need to subtract 0.5 from the lower limit, which is 3, then our lower boundary would then equal to be 2.5. Then same as here in the next data, 6 to 8, lower boundary is 6, lower limit is 6, then upper limit is 8. Then since the lower limit is 6, we subtract it by 0.5, we will then be given with the lower boundary of 5.5. So it happens, 0.5 will be subtracted from all the lower limits of all the data, and here are all the data's lower boundary by just subtracting 0.5 from the lower limit of the data given. Again, so we already have our lower boundaries. We can now solve for the cumulative frequency. So just like from the previous slide, cumulative frequency can be solved by just adding the frequencies. So like here, from the first frequency, which is 4, then our first cumulative frequency is 4. Then 4 plus 9 equals to 13. 13 plus 10 equals to 23. 23 plus 12 is equals to 35. 35 plus 8 is 43. And 43 plus 7 is equals to 50. So that is how you get the cumulative frequency. Now, step 2. We can now identify D7. So, the position of dk is equals to k times n over 10, where k is the nth number of the decile and n is the total frequency. And in this case, k is 7 since we will be finding the d7 of the data. So the position of D7 is 7, which is K, then N, the total frequency, over 10, which will then equal to 35 to the 35th. So D7 is in the 35th number of the data and the cumulative frequency. So as we can see here in the table, the 35th position of the 7th position can be seen here in the table, which is in the cumulative frequency of 35. It is in the 35th. So we will be using this data for computing our D7. Now, using this data, we can now solve for D7. So dk is equals to lower boundary plus the nth number of the decile times total number of frequency over 10 minus cumulative frequency over frequency of the decile times interval. Now our lower boundary is 11.5 plus 7, which is the 7th. We were asked to find the 7th decile. So 7 times the total frequency of 50 over 10 minus 23, which can be solved by subtracting 12 frequency from the cumulative frequency, which is 35 minus 12 equals to 23. All over 12 times the interval of 3. So solving this, D7 will now be equal to 14.5. So by interpreting this, therefore since D7 is the 70th percentile of the data, so we can now conclude that therefore 70% of the houses gave less than or equal to 14.5 kilograms of plastic bottles to AC. Okay? Okay, now for another example. Example number 2. So the same from the given data a moment ago. We'll just be using it again. But this time we will be finding the D4 and the D9. Okay? Now just like in the previous data, lower boundaries and the cumulative frequency have already been computed. So we can skip this. Now we need to identify D4 and D9. So the position of the D can be solved using Kn over 10. So for D4, it will be equal to 4 times 50 over 10, which is equal to the 20th position. And the position of D9 can be solved using 9 times 50 over 10, and it equal to the 45th. So D9 is located in the 45th position. Okay, now let's proceed. Since we already identified D7 and D9, ID4 and D9, their positions, then using the table, since D4 is equals to the 20th position, and it is as you can see here, 20 cannot be seen here in the data in the cumulative frequency, but 20 is somewhere between the lower boundary, the lower limit of 14 and the upper limit of 23. So we can say that the 28th position belongs in the cumulative frequency of 23. So now our D4, the position of our D4 is highlighted as yellow. So next, our D9. Since D9 is located in the 45th position, which is in the cumulative frequency, it is not shown, but it is somewhere in between here, in between 44 and 50. 45th position is in between 44 and 50. So we will be using this as our reference data for getting D9. Now that we know the datas, let us solve for D4 and D9. So using the formula dk is equals to lower boundary plus k times total frequency over 10 minus the cumulative frequency over the frequency of dk times the interval. So our lower boundary is 8.5 plus k, which is the fourth, or d4, 4 times 50, the total frequency, over 10 minus 13 over 10 times 3. We'll then get the answer of 10.6. So, therefore, 40% of the houses gave less than or equal to 10.6 kilograms of plastic bottles to AC. So, another one is solving for D9. So, same as in the previous slide. By using the formula, D9 is equals to lower boundary of 17.5 plus 9 times total frequency of 50 over 10 minus 43, the cumulative frequency, which is equals to 50 subtracted by 7 equals to 43 all over 7 times 3, which gives us the answer of 18.36. So D9 is equals to 18.36. Now we can conclude that 90% of the houses gave less than or equal to 18.36 kilogram of plastic bottles to AC. So, okay, once again, thank you for listening. That concludes our lesson about the deciles of a group data. Now, in order for you to master this lesson, here are some practice problems that you can tackle in your free time. Okay, so I hope this lesson has taught you how to compute the decile of a group data. Okay, now that is all. Thank you and goodbye.